Hello, today we will talk about autism spectrum syndrome as part of an assignment in behavior analyst and autism and other developmental disabilities. My name is Ortal.
My name is Natalie.
And we are working together with our mates, Elia Biton, Iבגי, and Oshar Gmaliel.
Okay, introduction, description of the mechanism. Autism typically develops during the early years of life when brain development processes are taking place. According to the DSM-5, symptoms must appear before the age of 3. They should appear in early developmental stages, even if not clearly noticeable. The symptoms must cause clinically significant impairment in a social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. The child may show signs of autism at an early age, but sometimes the symptoms become apparent only later, when social and communication expectation increase.
Let's talk about brief history of autism. Okay, autism neurodevelopmental disorder was first described independently by Leo Kanner at 1943 and Hans Asperger at 1944. Both referred to the condition as autism, derived from the Greek word autos, meaning self. First, the autism disorder was defined in the DSM-4 as Asperger. There was much criticism about the fact that two very different children, one with high functioning and one with low functioning, were classified under the same diagnosis. As a result, a new version was published in 2013 in the DSM-5, referring it as Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD. ASD is better reflects the range of characteristics and level of functioning.
Now we talk about etiology. Currently, no definitive cause has been found for autism. However, possible factors that influence the occurrence of autism have been found in genetic factors. Studies have found that genetics play a major role in the development of autism. However, there is no single gene that causes autism. It is the influence of multiple genes. Environmental factors, exposure to toxins during pregnancy, alcohol use, consumptions of certain medicines during pregnancy, disease and or viral infections during pregnancy, complications during labor of premature birth.
Diagnosis. Autism diagnosis is based on familiarity with the child behavior, and there is currently no psychological test that can identify autism. Autism diagnosis in Israel required a double diagnosis by psychologic, neurologists, or psychiatrists. Autism is diagnosed according to the DSM-5 criteria, which defined by two main symptoms. One, difficulties in communication and social interaction. Second, restrict and repetitive interest and pattern of behavior. In addition, a diagnosis of autism should include a determination of the child level of cognitive, developmental, language skills, and daily function abilities.
Now we will talk about how common is autism in population. It is now considered very common, with more children being diagnosed in recent years. Demographic factors, gender. This may be due to biological reasons, but also social and diagnostics ones. Girls are sometimes underdiagnosed. Autism in Israel and other countries. In the past, Israel had the lower diagnosis rates compared to Western countries, but recently rates have sharply increased. About autism in specific ethics groups. In the USA, CDC data from 2022 showed higher rates of autism in Asian, Hispanic, and African American children compared to others. In Israel, a study found that 98% of those who diagnosed were of Jewish origin.
Clinical characteristics of the disorder: repetitive and stereotype behavior, self-stimulative behavior, SSB, are prominent characteristics of autism. SSB are repetitive, stereotyped, and functionally autonomous behaviors. ICD-10 restrict that repetitive pattern of behavior are interests and activities, those including unusual attachment to non-typical objects, incidents of specific rituals, repetitive actions, stereotype movements, and specific interest in non-functional aspects of objects. Continue.
Communication. DSM-4-TR describes impairment in communication, including delayed or absence of spoken language without attempts to comprehend non-verbally, difficulty in debating or sustaining conversation, stereotyped or repetitive words, and the lack of varied and spontaneous make-believe play or social imitative play.
Echolalia is sometimes considered a self-stimulatory behavior.
Social interaction. DSM-4-TR describes impairment in a social interaction, including difficulty using non-verbal behavior, eye contact, facial expressions,
gestures,
challenges in developing friendship, difficulty in spontaneous sharing of enjoyment and interests, and lack of social reciprocity.
Visible physical signs. Well, there are no distinct physical signs. Self-stimulatory behavior, defined with ASD, are actions that the person preforms and not congenital or acquired physical features that can be seen without observing the behavior.
Okay, now we talk about cognitive or intellectual characteristics. Just a minute.
Okay. Difficult with mental capacity.
Difficult with mental capacity. Considered a central explanation for self-stimulatory behavior. A theory of mind, the ability to understand and relate to the mental states of others' self-stimulatory behavior may serve as a coping mechanism for these difficulties. Executive functions are fractionally observed, leading to challenges in planning, controlling, and regulating behavior, as well as difficulties in detecting new behavior. The relationship between IQ or mental age and the occurrence of stereotyped behavior is uncertain. Self-stimulatory behaviors are considered a core characteristic of autism. It's important to remember that these characteristics can vary significantly among individuals diagnosed with autism.
Okay, behavioral characteristics. There is 3 characteristics, main: self-stimulatory behaviors, stimming, repetitive and stereotype behaviors, functionally autonomous from social consequence, and there are verify of topographies. Example: repetitive body movement, rocking, hand flapping, object manipulation, linking up,
manipulation,
objects manipulation, echolalia, repeating words. And also there is a lot of device sensory stimulated by a source of self-stimulation, visual, tactical, auditory, and also a variable complexity of behavior, like inflexibility and enhanced of routine and rituals, restrict and intense area of interest.
Reinforcement strategies. When working with individuals with autism, especially those who exhibit self-stimulatory behaviors and other inappropriate behavior analysts are required to carefully select, adapt, and manage reinforcement in a highly deliberate manner to influence the behavioral environment and strengthen desirable behavior.
ABA with autism. First, identifying the source of reinforcement for the existing behavior. Second, choosing appropriate competing stimuli. Third, personalize the reinforcement. Fourth, using non-contingent reinforcement, NCR. Fifth, providing reinforcement at fixed intervals. Sixth, differential reinforcement of appropriate behaviors. Seventh, managing reinforcement level over time. 8, incorporate intrinsic reinforcement.
Okay, now we will talk about ethical considerations. One, upholding the principle of minimizing harm. Behavior analysts face the ethical dilemma of whether and how to use interventions that involve elements of discomfort, such as a firm no or oversight, physical contact like a tap on the thigh. Two, protecting human dignity and the right to a safe, supportive, and a respectful environment. It must be ensured that both children and adults with autism are treated with respect for their rights, preserving privacy, making treatment decisions in consultations with parents or legal curations, preventing social exclusions based on behaviors.
Balancing the reduction of problematic behavior with encouraging freedom of expression. There is an ethical challenge because some self-stimulatory behaviors provide individuals with personal pleasure or self-regulation. Reducing those behaviors without offering a proper alternative may harm the child's sense of personal freedom. Therefore, it is important not to suppress behaviors that are not harmful, only those that significantly limited social, communicative, or functional abilities. 4, collaboration with parents or caregivers. Intervention should be conducted with complete transparency through parents, like explaining intervention plans clearly and updating informed consents, or fully sharing relevant information. Real-world example. Now I want to tell you about Gabriel. He is a 6-year-old boy learning in my class. Gabriel was diagnosed with autism when he was 4 years old. And as a part of his condition, he had motor coordination difficulties, and he was very afraid of ball games. He attends regular kindergarten with personal support. During therapist sport lessons, he began to enjoy playing with the ball. Thanks to the way we broke down the rules of soccer for him, and the therapeutic sport instructor, guided by a behavior analyst, created an intervention plan based on chaining, breaking the activities into small, manageable steps. Today, Gabriel plays soccer with his classmates, and it is very delightful to show, and it's a big success story in our class, in my school. Natalie, do you want to talk about the video?
Okay, we now wanted to see a video. Before we say goodbye, we would like to end the presentation on a positive note by sharing 3 success stories of individuals who were diagnosed and have made remarkable progress. So we conclude with hope.
Let's see it together.
See it.
Today, we're bringing you a heartwarming and inspiring episode that centers around triumph, hope, and resilience. We're going to share some incredible personal stories of challenged kids who have overcome obstacles, particularly within the realm of autism. Meet Leilani, a remarkable 15-year-old known as Sneak, who, despite being nonverbal and diagnosed with autism and sensory processing disorder, radiates positivity and energy every morning, communicating through
הקרקפת המגרדת שלך לא רק יבשה, היא פגומה, והענקת לחות...
We will continue.
Few minutes. Sorry for the delay.
It's worth it.
Okay.
personal stories of challenged kids who have overcome obstacles, particularly within the realm of autism. Meet Leilani, a remarkable 15-year-old known as Sneak, who, despite being nonverbal and diagnosed with autism and sensory processing disorder, radiates positivity and energy every morning, communicating through music, a talking device, and sign language. Leilani proves that every individual, regardless of verbal abilities, has a unique voice. Guided by her mom, Dikita, Leilani's autism diagnosis led to the creation of Walk One Day in Our Shoes, a nonprofit promoting acceptance and awareness. Through community outreach and sensory-friendly events, they've touched lives and fostered a world where everyone is celebrated for their strengths. Leilani's story is not just about overcoming challenges, it's about embracing uniqueness, fostering understanding, and inspiring us all. Our next story introduces us to Alex, a remarkably young individual on the autism spectrum. From an early age, Alex faced challenges that many thought would be insurmountable. But through sheer determination and unwavering support, Alex not only conquered obstacles but soared to new heights. Alex's journey teaches us that every hurdle can be an opportunity for growth. It's a testament to the power of resilience and the incredible capabilities that lie within every child. Now let's delve into Michael's journey, a story that challenges stereotypes associated with autism. Michael not only defied expectations, but also became an advocate for breaking down societal barriers and misconceptions surrounding autism. Michael's story encourages us to celebrate the unique strengths that individuals on the autism spectrum bring to the table. It's a call for inclusivity and understanding in our communities. These stories of triumph are not just individual victories, they are beacons of hope for the entire autism community. Through resilience, support, and breaking stereotypes, these incredible individuals have paved the way for a brighter future. We invite you to share your stories or those of your loved ones in the comments below. Let's create a space where triumphs are celebrated and hope becomes a shared strength. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more uplifting content and stories of resilience. Thank you for joining us on this inspiring journey today. Remember, within each challenge lies the potential for triumph. Until next time, take care.
Okay.
So on this optimistic note, we say goodbye and thanks to all for the opportunity to explore autism. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Ortal. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.